make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I wanna know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I wanna know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey, are you Nathaniel Cade?
Why are you a threat?
Ah! Come here!
Am I unmuted now? Come on. Alright. Okay. Says I'm unmuted. Anyway, sorry about that. StreamYard's doing StreamYard things. No way of controlling that. Well, vampires. Usually, the very moment you start talking about vampires, because of the corruption of the concept, starting with Anne Rice interview with the vampire and things like that. Vampires turned from a horror kind of trope into more of a romantic thing. You know, the vampires are these handsome, you know, tortured, immortal souls just looking for some middle-aged housewife to, you know, step out and kind of like give them their long tortured lives meaning. You know, I think the biggest example people are probably going to talk about is the Twilight series, where Bella, the lead character, she was homely, she was pouty, she was obnoxious, and somehow this gorgeous vampire guy who happened to sparkle in sunlight just enamored with her because she smelled a certain way. I kid you not. The movie, but I read the book. I do that to myself every once in a while. If something becomes phenomenal, becomes like a huge part of the culture that is read by a ton of people. Sometimes that's worked out for me. Like I started reading Harry Potter after everybody else had been on it a while. I started reading it around Goblet of Fire. And immediately fell in love with the series. In that case, the mass culture was right. But when it came to Twilight, they were very, 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 very wrong. Mainly because it was a teenager that wrote it, and teenage girls that bought it, and suddenly YA became all about tapping into that Twilight market, and so it was like lonely middle-aged housewives and teenage girls became the whole entire focus of book sales in literature. That and Oprah, kind of like took book sales off into another place. So vampires, actually, the weird thing, you probably don't know about this, but the girl who wrote Twilight was actually wanting to write about fairies. And she was told, because of the whole Anne Rice craze, that the only way she was going to get published was if she turned her story into a vampire. So she kept the sparkling part. But the rest of it was about Edward was supposed to be a fairy prince. And then further corruption of that is the fact that 50 Shades of Grey, publishing was headed, was actually started out life as Twilight fanfiction. Somebody smut Twilight fanfiction, and they turned it into 50 Shades of Grey and made her a multi-millionaire. So, because of that, vampires have kind of gotten played out. Now, there was like certain movies like John Carpenter's Vampires, starring James Woods. It's actually aged very well. I watched it 4 weeks ago. That one still had vampires being scary, monstrous beings. But for the most part, vampires kind of had their edges taken off quite a bit. But, I mean, there might have been somebody before Anne Rice, but I can't think of any. Feel free to, leave me a note if you can think of anybody earlier than Anne Rice that took vampires in that direction. Laura K. Hamilton, I've mentioned her before. For her first few books are actually good. Up to Obsidian Butterfly, they're not that bad. But she has a romantic vampire named Jean-Claude. That's the only way I can say, It's been all over fiction. And so vampires are kind of like, you think of vampires immediately, you think, romance and whatever. Great vampire novel is They Thirst by Robert R. McCammon. His vampires are properly scary. Another great vampire story, Salem's Lot. I don't often recommend Stephen King, but early Stephen King, he had some bangers. And the TV movie that they made off of Salem's Lot. It's actually one of the scariest television movies that's ever been on television. It's just... Anyway, Jeffrey Lewis alone. I love Jeffrey Lewis. Juliette Lewis's father, by the way. I've always loved Jeffrey Lewis and everything, and he has a turn in that. It's just innocuous, kind-hearted guy, and suddenly he's a bloodthirsty monster. Great turn. But properly scary vampires is always what if I'm going for vampire, that's what I'm going for. So I'm going to give you some recommendations about properly scary vampires. Okay, and the first I didn't really plan on this, but I saw these books over there, and I realized that I kind of have to bring this up. The first one I have somewhere. I think I may have loaned it to somebody. That happens a lot. But this series is called Anno Dracula. Okay. Now, Anno Dracula is written by Kim Newman. And Anno Dracula, this is around about the time that Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen were coming out. And Alan Moore kind of like started this wave of people revisiting like in-domain characters and kind of like using them to prop up their literature. And Alan Moore was the king of that. But the second to him, the only second to him was probably Kim Newman. Now, Kim Newman was a horror nerd turned author. Wrote blogs and articles about horror movies and stuff like that. And then he used that knowledge to write his first book. And Anno Dracula was it's not a vampire novel. It's an Elseworlds novel, basically. It's what if Dracula was real and Van Helsing had failed. And it also mixed in the lore of Jack the Ripper. And it brought in like multiple fictional characters. My favorite is the elder vampire named Genevieve, who you kind of get the feeling was maybe Joan of Arc at one point. But Genevieve is definitely one of the most badass female vampires in fictional history. But the second book was this one here. This is the Red Baron, the Bloody Red Baron, and World War I, from the perspective of the Anna Dracula, basically series, starred Kate Reed was the main character in that one. She was actually invented by Bram Stoker, but he never used her. But the third book in the series is this one here. It's Anno Dracula, 1959, also known as Judgment of Tears. This is it's kind of like this is the death of Dracula, but it's kind of turned into a mystery, because somebody killed Dracula, and so it's kind of like his a mystery story as to who killed Dracula. But this one's really good too. Actually, I like this book a little bit better than Anno Dracula. And I'd say this is like the best book of the series here. Now, there's another one called Johnny Alucard that Kim Newman did. That's the fourth in the series, but I've never read it. I don't know. I kind of got out of the series, but if you want a proper vampire, vampires being vampires, a proper... This is the Dracula of Bram Stoker. Okay, this is not a romantic figure. This is a brutal, monstrous dictator who was turned into a living demon after a career of sticking stakes through men's rectums and making them living popsicles. Vlad Tepes, look him up. I'm not exaggerating. The Dracula is Vlad Tepes. And Vlad Tepes was a bloodthirsty monster. But since he operated on behalf of the Catholic Church, he got a lot of it was excused in his day. Dracula actually means son of a dragon, and Vlad Tepes' father was known as the dragon, so that's why we know Dracula is Vlad Tepes. Anyway, little history lesson there. But the series that I put on the thumbnail, the series that I want to talk about today, is the President's Vampire series. Okay. Now this one, Christopher Farnsworth did 3 incredible novels. But then at the end of the 3rd novel, he kind of wrote himself into a corner. And in the series, kind of went defunct. I'm hoping someday he'll return to it. But I think he kind of wrote himself into a corner. But all 3 of these books that I'm about to show you are awesome. And his lead character, is his name is Nathaniel Cade. He's got 3 book trailers. I'm going to play them for you. This is the first book.
In 1867, a young sailor was tried and convicted of killing 2 crewmates and drinking their blood. The papers called him a vampire. President Andrew Johnson pardoned him for reasons unknown. He spent the rest of his days in an asylum for the criminally insane. At least that's the cover story. The truth is a little more complicated.
Okay, so they hit the shelves back in 2010. It was Christopher Farnsworth. He had not really written a lot of things before this. This was like hitting a home run first at bat. But this book here, Blood Oath, it's a mixture of conspiracy theory, monster, and the ultimate bad guy in this book here is actually Frankenstein's, Victor Frankenstein. And it's like Victor Frankenstein, but Victor Frankenstein is kind of an arms dealer and working for the highest bidder. And And they're trying to overthrow the United States government by taking out the president, and the way they're planning on doing it is through Victor Frankenstein's monsters. Okay, and so that runs them in direct conflict with a agent who is known only to presidents and only answers to presidents. Okay, and he's called the Nightmare Pet. Which is pretty cool. But anyway, Andrew Johnson, during the course of him investigating the death of Abraham Lincoln, he discovers a dark entity grown within the United States government with powers and that are basically pledged to the dark powers. And so he gets handed in his lap a vampire, a true vampire. And since he was a Southerner, he knew of Marie Laveau, who was a famous figure in Louisiana folklore, still is to this day. Supposedly a true voodoo priestess. And so he brings her in, uses the bullet cover still crusted with Abraham Lincoln's blood to swear to basically bind this young vampire, this young man recently turned, to the office of President of the United States. And then he created an entire branch of the U.S. government to suit his to basically suit his needs. And Nathaniel Cade turned out to be what's known as a vampire. And so inadvertently, not only did they get a vampire in their service, but he's like a step above normal vampires would be. And as a matter of fact, he was already operating at the level of an elder, almost right away, almost immediately. And which made him very powerful, which made him very dangerous, and which made him very useful. But basically, all the presidents, when they get voted into office, they have this one last meeting with their predecessor. And in the course of that meeting, the predecessor will hand them the key to Nathaniel Cade. And basically tell them, oh, by the way, all the conspiracy theories are right. All the cryptids that you hear about are real. And, oh, by the way, evil is attempting to take over the government. And this is the only guy that's going to prevent you from, that happening. So the first book is about him thwarting an attempt on the president by Frankenstein's monsters. Multiple Frankenstein's monsters. Really good read. You also get introduced to Zach Burrows, his handler. As everything comes pretty much from his point of view. And Zach is a good character. He's a really good character. Starts out as a jerkwad. You kind of hate his guts, but you eventually really start to respect him. Now, the sequel. Okay. This is the sequel.
Jesus Christ. Oh, son of a... Mr. President, it's your call. Mr. President.
We have to act now.
Okay, I had to do an adjustment on that one because it used actual Jimi Hendrix Star Spangled Banner from Woodstock, and that immediately got me struck. So I had to, I found a guy who covered it and borrowed him and then put it in the same place. And it passed flying colors. That's how stupid the whole system is. Anyway, but this one actually, the bad guy, there's a shadow company. It's called the Shadow Company, and it's like deeper than the CIA. It's like a governmental agency, ultimate black ops, and they're basically deeper than the CIA. And they have a operative named Graves, and this one, Graves, is basically the big bad, and this one brings in some H.P. Lovecraftian Innsbruck, the creatures from Innsbruck. They bring those in. And try to basically overrun the country with the creatures from Innsbruck. And because they're evidently, if you get murdered by one, you become one. And so this is Cade trying to stop that situation. And eventually, he winds up having to, come up against the facility, and it's actually a really good book. It's a different kind of book, though. The first one was kind of more of a quest, and the second one is more of a kind of like a detective in a way, and really fascinating book. But both books are, most of the time the sophomore book has a little bit of fall off because the pressure to try to recreate the first book. But I think, honestly, he must have wrote both the first two books at the same time, because the quality in both of those books does not fall off at all. It just absolutely doesn't. There's no fall off. Now, Zach gets more to do in the second book, and he also gets the most damage in the second book. He goes through hell in that second book, man. But you really get an eyeball of the shadow agency. Mostly, the shadow agency is kind of like the big bad, and it gets hinted at in the first book. The shadow agency is kind of like behind the first plot. But the second book, the shadow agency is kind of like front and center. Now, so both of these, that one doesn't represent a direct attack on the president itself, but more like an attack on the country. But the third one is why this is the best trilogy of books that I have in my library. There legitimately is no drop-off in these 3 books. And let me play that trailer for you.
What if the worst serial killers in American history all shared a secret? Through the years, an unspeakable evil has taken many forms. It has stalked thousands and preyed upon hundreds of innocent lives. Its followers have claimed hundreds more to feed its hunger for blood. It has become an urban legend repeated around campfires and the source of nightmares. But it is real, and no matter how many times it is killed, its message is always the same. Now, it has returned again. And this time, it's hunting for the man at the top.
Evil does exist. I mean, I think we see evil all the time.
Only one man can save the president. And he's already dead. Nathaniel Cade, the president's vampire. Red, white, and blood.
Sorry, everybody. Okay. Finally. Sorry, everybody. Every time I would click to... I don't know what the heck was going on there. I think I was muting myself because of the delay. I don't know. But anyway, so this book, basically, The Boogeyman. This book right here. This one I got in hardcover. This is how much I was loving the series. You would never get hardcover ordinarily, but I did get hardcover. Now, 2010, 2011, and 2012. All 3 of these books come out, stair steps, year release. And they're all 3 bangers. Absolute bangers. And I think the reason why we haven't gotten any more of these is because he went so big on this last villain. The big bad of Red, White, and Blood is basically Jason Voorhees. He put Nathaniel Cade essentially up against Jason Voorhees. And as a matter of fact, it's implied. It mentions that the guy was a killer by the lake or whatever. So it literally meant it basically calls this guy Jason Voorhees. It calls him Michael Myers, unstoppable killing machine that you see in all these movies. And I mean, where do you go from that? I mean, how do you top that? So essentially, he put his like king vampire up against, you know, the most badass vampire in history, and he put him up against Jason Voorhees, essentially. And the president that he's basically protecting, and he actually likes this president. He doesn't always like the presidents that he's protecting, but this one in particular he really liked. But this president turns out to be like he's on a re-election campaign, and Nathaniel finds out that they had sent like the one creature that he had ever faced that scared him. And he's back. Now, the reason why this one scared him is because it's not a physical entity. It's more like a god of chaos that occasionally pops back up, inhabits a person, creates a persona, and then goes on a killing spree. And if you've ever seen any of the Jason movies, you've seen the Michael Myers movies, you know, any slasher movie you've seen, and this guy, it's insinuated in this book that they're all the same being. It just inhabits different bodies. Like Jack the Ripper was this guy. The Zodiac Killer was this guy. You know, it basically it inhabits a person for like, and it really hates. It like despises like sex. It hates people having sex. And you know, like all these movies, all these books, and all this stuff, you know, every time we see a slasher flick or whatever, they're always killing people that are having sex. You know, it's part of the joke in the Scream movies. You know, that list. You know, if you have sex, you're dead. You're dead meat. You know, but he wrote this into this character that it literally hates sex, but basically it has a lot of these cultists that call it up, and they create like they murder and kill innocents, you know, systematically trying to pull it to basically pull it out of the netherworld onto our plane. And once it's on our plane, it's a killing machine that can't be stopped. It's basically a living human tank. And Nathaniel has gone up against it like more than once. And it's cleaned his clock. And now he's got to stand between this monster, this unstoppable killing machine, and the president to fulfill his duty. And that because of that last book is just absolutely the pinnacle of all three books. All three books are the highest recommend. They're out of 6 carats. They're all 6 carat books. This is the highest recommend I have for a 3-book series of any I've done. I mean, this is this is up there with Lord of the Rings for me. Okay. And if Hollywood ever gets their head out of their butt and adapts these books, which I think is where Christopher Farnsworth has been. I think he's been trying to get this series adapted for a long time. And all three of these books are blockbusters. This would be a heck of a trilogy, okay? But, all three books all three villains of the books are worth the price of admission. They're all three terrifying, okay, in different ways. But that last book, how do you go bigger than Jason Voorhees as your antagonist? How do you top that? And I think in a way, that's why we haven't seen any more of them. Is that I think he went big. He went so big that he's having trouble figuring out the way forward. And that is a risk that you take. But we have the three books. We have these three awesome books. Three incredible reads. I've listened to the audiobooks of all three, and all three audiobooks are really awesome. And with AI and everything coming in, there may come a day where Christopher can adapt this himself. And I think he could definitely. I think if he David Corenswet, the guy who did the last Superman movie, I think he would be a perfect Nathaniel Cade. I think he just would be absolutely perfect as Nathaniel Cade. But anyway, Nathaniel Cade's like perpetually like early 20s, late teens or something like that. But it's just an incredible series, incredible character, incredible plots, incredible world building. So when people start talking about vampires, I don't talk about Twilight. I don't talk about List. I don't talk. I might bring up Anno Dracula, which I just did. But for the most part, if I'm going to go straight to this. Have you read The President's Vampire? Or The Blood Oath, President's Vampire, Red, White, and Blood? Have you read those books? If you have not, and you like vampires, you like monsters, you like even superheroes, because Nathaniel Cade is a superhero. Nathaniel Cade is very clearly a superhero. He can do things that humans cannot do. And he has a it's like one of the things that's really cool is that he has a cross that he wears even though it burns him. It's just such a cool character beat that even though that cross burns him, he still wears it. He just keeps it like in front of the shirt, and keeps the shirt between his chest and the cross, but he wears it everywhere. But it's just a great character, great world building. If you like vampires, you like superheroes, you like Gothic horror, you like body horror, you like a little bit of mystery, and if you like conspiracy theories, this is your book. It's all that and a bag of chips. And just a high recommend. Absolute high recommend for me. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys this afternoon. Thank you for coming. And Follow the White Rabbit. I don't know. I think we are doing a Cryptids and Conspiracies this week. Saturday night. It's going to be on near-death experiences. So, 7 o'clock. This channel. Also, it's going to be on Jones Longbox's channel. Also, Wiki Fever's channel. We're going to spread it far and wide. Also, I don't know what I'll be doing this Thursday night. I've been hit or miss with that show. But it's been really kind of hard to figure out what I need to put in that slot. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. Just stay tuned. But thank you all for coming and checking me out. Those who came in the last second to just do rewatch. There'll be some like shorts on this later. Just keep your eyes out. But anyway, thank you all for coming, and we will see you next time. Follow the White Rabbit. Bye, everybody.